New Year's dinner, my mother set her fork down like she was laying down the law and said, "Ivy's divorced now, so you'll be the one looking after her and the kids from here on out." "That's how it is, Sawyer." My father gave one slow nod and added, "If that doesn't sit right with you, the door's right there, son." I looked at both of them for a second, then said, "Perfect. Then I'm out and you can start covering your own house payment. That's how it is." My name's Sawyer, 32. I work underground in the coal seam, come home smelling like sulfur and cold stone, the kind of scent that never quite leaves your skin. Youngest of two, the boy who grew into the man who lifts, repairs, and keeps his mouth shut. I learned to count money by adding up overtime slips I kept folded in my wallet like receipts for a life I hadn't chosen yet. I'm the one who moved back home when Dad threw his back out, and Mom needed someone who showed up on time. I can shoulder 100-pound cable reel across slick floor without breaking rhythm. I can also quarter an apple into tiny rabbit slices so my niece, who's missing both front teeth, doesn't choke, and I can swap out a garbage disposal at 1 in the morning because my sister flipped the wrong breaker again. People call me when the car coughs, when the basement smells like death, when the heat quits on the coldest night of the year. In my family, that made me useful, not loved. We don't do fancy holidays. We do folding tables, a plastic bin of bent forks, and whatever meat was marked down that week. But New Year's, Mom insists on candles, the paper crowns from the dollar store, and the good china she got from Aunt Trudy the year she married Dad. She polishes those plates with the same grimy towel she wipes the dog's feet with and says, "Presentation is half the meal." I walked in wearing my mine jacket because the heater in my truck had died again. Boots by the door, half the county still clinging to the county on them. Mom clicked her tongue. "You're dragging the whole quarry in here, Sawyer." Dad muted the football game but left the picture on. Ivy sat at the far end with her 2 kids, one coloring on a napkin, the other hoarding pretzel sticks like gold. "Hey, big guy," Ivy muttered without looking up. "Got Zell?" "Hi to you too," I said and went to scrub the black off my hands. The house smelled of cabbage rolls and the cheap sparkling wine sweating in a plastic tub of ice. 1 sharp knife, 4 dull ones. I carved the ham. Mom hovered. "Thinner," she ordered. "People are watching their waistlines." She took the thickest slice for herself and buried it under shredded lettuce like camouflage. We ate. We did the kind of talk that feels like taking roll call. Who's working, who's hurting, who's gone. Dad asked about a union vote he'll never attend. Ivy scrolled tick-tock, jaw clenched. Mom made us put on the paper crowns, killed the overhead light for atmosphere, then cleared her throat like she was about to give a State of the Union. "Sawyer," she began, smiling the smile she uses when she's already won, "your sister is on her own now. So you'll be stepping up for her and the children. It's settled." Forks stopped moving. On the silent TV, a coach screamed into thin air. Dad nodded once, eyes still on the screen. "If you've got a problem with that, you know where the door is." I felt the heat crawl up my neck, the old reflex to say, "Sure, whatever you need." But something colder followed it, something that felt like fresh air after 12 hours in the dark. I set my napkin beside my plate. "Great," I said, calm as setting a timber. "Then I'm leaving and you can figure out how to make the mortgage without my name on the deed. Settled." I didn't stand up yet. I just let the words sit there like a loaded charge in the middle of her pretty table, right between the gravy boat and the potato salad she'd sprinkled with paprika to hide that it came from a tub. Mom's smile turned thin and sharp. Ivy finally looked up. Dad reached for his glass like it might float him out of the room. I waited. I became the dependable one because dependable kids get hit less and asked for more. Dad's favorite line was, "A man provides." He never said for whom. Turns out it was for peace and quiet, for Mom's coupons to stretch further, for Ivy to keep her pretty laugh, for him to watch the game without someone crying about the electric bill. We weren't dirt poor, but we were always one broken thing away from it: alternator, hot water tank, orthodontist. When the plant closed, Dad went independent contractor, which meant day drinking and waiting for phones that never rang. Mom sold scrapbook supplies and could make $1 scream. I started in the mine the week after graduation. You either went down the shaft or you left the county. I went down. The foreman wasn't lying. You carry that smell home in your pores forever, but the work is honest. Rock doesn't lie. Weight doesn't negotiate. I paid rent at home so Dad could call it fair. When the water heater blew, I paid the plumber and Dad told the neighbors he'd fixed it himself. Easier that way. Ivy married Sean, a guy with a 500-watt smile and zero follow-through. I lent tools that never came back, paid daycare deposits that turned into car payments that turned into just until the child support starts. Mom graduated from hints to commandments so smoothly I never felt the handcuffs click. You don't mind grabbing milk, do you? The school needs a donation for the carnival. Put it under your name, honey. Your father's back, you know. I got good at carrying heavy things in one hand and heavier guilt in the other. At work I made lead man, trained new boots, took every holiday shift because time and a half kept the guilt quiet. Then one November night I came home after a double, found a yellow legal pad note on the counter. Took your debit card, back Monday, love Mom. Monday never came. She'd paid the minimum on a store card and bought new curtains because the morning sun is rude. When I brought it up, she laughed. You're so touchy. December, I opened mail over the kitchen sink and found a welcome packet for a home equity line on a house I don't own. Dad had added me as co-borrower. Just to consolidate, he said, phone wedged under his chin. Names are just paperwork. I froze the way you do when you hear Roof talk in the dark. Which brings us back to candlelight, paper crowns, and Mom delivering her verdict like it was gospel. I didn't yell. Yelling gets men killed underground. I just spoke low and clear. Let's get one thing straight. I will help my niece and nephew because I choose to, not because you declared it over ham. And tomorrow you're calling the bank and removing my name from debt I didn't sign for. Mom's eyes narrowed. Forged, such an ugly word. It's family helping family. It's fraud, I said. Dad tried next. Here's how it's going to go. Half your check goes into your mother's account every payday. We'll handle the rest. Keeps it simple. I actually laughed. I have spreadsheets, you have vibes. His face went red. You walk out, you don't come crawling back. Crawling's never been my strong suit, I said. Mom slammed her palm on the table. After everything we did for you, Roof, food. You fed me hamburger helper and charged me rent with interest, I said. I'm paid up. I stood, pulled out my phone, killed every autopay I'd set up for their bills, froze the card Mom still had in her purse. Her phone pinged across the table. What did you just do? Stopped being the family ATM. Dad pointed at the door like he was banishing me from the kingdom. Big mistake, boy. Probably, I said. But it'll be mine. I left the printout of the forged loan docs, signature circled in red beside his plate. Bank reverses it by tomorrow or the police report I drafted gets filed. Mom hissed, that's low. Call it a boundary. I looked at the kids. Hey, monsters, new Lego sets in the truck. We'll build it Saturday. We're not monsters, the older one said. We're wolves. Even better, I said and walked out into the cold. The porch light didn't follow me. The fallout was loud, texts, voicemails, flying monkeys. I told my supervisor no more shift swaps for daycare pickup. He just nodded. Ivy sent me a photo of her new lease. I paid January and February, sent her a budget template. She replied with a laughing emoji. I replied, not a joke. Mom showed up at my apartment with a grocery store sheet cake. You look thin. This place is sad. I like it, I said. You can't just abandon your family. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm just not lighting myself on fire to keep you warm anymore. She tried tears. Didn't work. Tried anger. Didn't work. Left with the cake. 2 nights later, Ivy came over with a laundry basket and the kids. They immediately turned my couch into a wrestling ring. She stood in the doorway, eyes red. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let her talk to you like that. I know. She kept saying you had plenty saved. I have 3 months of expenses and a separate transmission fund. Took me 5 years. It's not for curtains. Ivy laughed and cried at the same time. God, I hate those stupid curtains. We ordered pizza. The kids fell asleep under my one blanket. Ivy whispered, I'll figure it out. You will, I said. And I'll still be here, just not as a blank check. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked at nothing, and for the first time in years, the noise didn't feel like it was aimed at me. Happy New Year, indeed.